Here we go. Today we're going to learn how to solve word problems using factoring. Okay, so this is sort of similar to what we did last time, except now instead of me giving you an equation, guess what? We're going to give you a word problem, and you have to, of course, do those 5-step plan. So it's the same exact thing that we've been doing, guys. When you think about it, you read the problem, right? Read the problem, and you what? Look for the unknowns. Right? Step 1, and then step 2, declare your variable, write an equation. Step 4, you solve, and then step 5, you write in a sentence and check, right? Same exact thing, except now, when you solve these equations, you're gonna have to use what property? Zero product property, right? Because you're not gonna get linear equations anymore. That's the only difference. All the other methods, or all the other things that we've been doing, all the other steps are all the same. Okay, so Jason, you have a question?
Yeah, I looked at
Jason, are you good? So take a look at example 1. Jason, can you read this for us? Find
two consecutive negative odd integers whose product is 255.
There you go. So you see how this we had this type of questions before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so how many unknowns do we have here? Two. What are they? These are the, what's the first unknown? Song, what's the first unknown? What are we looking for here? That's right. So how many do we need? Two of them, right? Does that make sense? So we're going to let x to be the first consecutive negative. That's important, right? We want negative. We don't want positive. So first consecutive negative integer. Then what's our second unknown? How are we going to figure out the second consecutive negative odd integer? Yes? X plus 2. You guys are correct. It's x plus 2. Why isn't it x plus 1? Yeah, these are odd numbers, right? How do you get, if you have one odd number, how do you get the other odd number? You add 2. You guys remember that? If these are consecutive integers, then you add 1s. You guys remember? If these are evens or odd, you keep adding 2s. Okay? Does that make sense? So let's write our equation. This is very simple though, because all they say is what? Whose product? What does product mean? Multiply. Is. What does is mean? Equal to. So who could give me the equation? How about Matt? Matthew, what do you think?
X times x plus 2
Yeah?
equals 255.
Exactly. You see how easy this is? The same thing that we've been doing before. Now we just have an equation, right? That is not linear anymore. So we have to use, like we said, zero product property, right? You guys, does that make sense? Right? Linear means it's x to the first power. You're not going to get x to the first power for this, are you? So what are we going to do first? The first step is, yeah, Claire?
Subtract 255.
Yeah, subtract 255 both sides. The reason is because it has equals to 0. Otherwise, and then of course you're going to distribute this x, right? Are you going to multiply this x with 255 also? No, it's just x times x plus 2. The other one is subtracting, right? Go ahead. Everybody do this. And guess what? You're going to get a trinomial. Chris, what do I get when I multiply this out? You got it, okay? And of course, do you guys know how to factor this trinomial? Go ahead, everybody try. You could help each other out too. Oh, wait. So let's think about this. We know it's got to be, right, multiplication of two binomials to get you, right, that gives you this trinomial. So it's going to be x and x, right? X plus something, x plus something. How many ways are there to multiply two numbers that you get 255? Well, I'll give you the first one. 1, 255. Does 2 go in?
No.
What about 3?
Yeah.
3 does go in, right? 2 plus 5 plus 5, what is that? 12. So 3 goes in. How many times? 3 times? 85, isn't it? Does 4 go in? What about 5? 5 and 51, right? Anything else? Does 6 go in? What about 7? 8? 9? 10? 11? 12? 13? 14? 15 does go. How many times? 15 and then that kind of wraps around. 16 doesn't go in. So guess what? Which one should we choose first to try? Yeah, the closest one. 15 and 17. Does that one work?
Yes.
Oh, see? I told you, always try the closest. And one of them has to be negative. So you have to have negative 15 here, don't you? So that you get positive 2x in the middle. Correct? Carly, question?
Aren't they supposed to be negative?
Which one?
The integer.
Right, so let's very good. Hold on to that thought. So this is only true when, okay, first of all, let me write this down. X plus 17 times x minus 15 equals 0. Okay, of course, we know this is only true when, right? When x plus 17 equals to what? 0 or x minus 15 equals to 0. So, of course, you know how to solve those, can't you? So we get two solutions, and I put big X on positive 15. Why? Exactly. I want you to think about this. I'll wait. Go ahead. Shh. Go ahead. Everybody think about it. Why do you think, even though I get two solutions, why do you think I put X on positive 15? Go ahead. Everybody think about this. I'll wait. All right. Who could explain to us why we need to cross out that positive 15? Yes, Libby?
Because it asks for negative.
Yeah. Go back to the very first part of your question. We said X has to be what kind of number? Negative odd integer, right? So could it be positive? No, that's why I got rid of 15. We don't need it. That cannot be our solution. So it gave us two choices. We know that it cannot be 15. So guess what? Our answer is negative 17. How do I get the other number? How do I get the other? Add 2 to it. What do you get?
Negative 15.
Negative 15. Now somebody said, wait a minute. How come it came out to be negative 15? Does that work every time? Well, no. It was a coincidence here, right? You see how we have positive 15 here? That's the answer. We got negative. So that's just a coincidence. Anyway, so here's the answer. The consecutive negative odd integers are what? Negative 17 and negative 15. Does that make sense? Right? One of the answers that we didn't use came out to be positive 15, right? That's just a coincidence, right? How do we get negative 15? We add 2 to negative 17, isn't that right?
Wait, how do you choose which one to add it to?
How do you choose which one to add it to? Well, let's go back. What do we say? If we let x to be the first odd integer, which came out to be negative 17, how do you get the second one? You add 2 to it, right? So what's negative 17 plus 2, guys? Negative 15, right? Any question? There it is, okay? Let's move on to then example 2. Do you see how this is very similar to what we've been doing all this time, right? Just it's solving is a little bit different, that's all. So when you see word problem, you shouldn't be afraid of them. It's the same exact thing we've been doing. You just figure out your unknowns, right? Write down the equation, declare a variable, write the equation, and solve. Okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, before we get to example 2, is there a way to check this real quickly? See if we got it right. Yeah. How do you check it?
Plug it back.
Plug it back in, right? So you basically multiply these two numbers. It should equal to what? 200. So what's negative 17 times negative 15? We know it's going to be positive, right? What's negative times negative? Positive, and it does become 255, doesn't it? Yeah.
What's the answer? I'm confused. So it's
Read what it says in the at the end of the sentence. Here. What do they want?
find two consecutive negative odd integers whose product is 255.
And have we found those two integers?
Yes.
What are they?
Negative 17, negative 15.
And so what's the answer?
Negative 17.
Here you go.
Well, you were like crossing out the 15 and saying.
Right. Why did I cross out the 15?
Because it's not negative, but then
Yeah.
you're saying, okay, so our answer is negative 17. So I was like, oh, okay, erase 15. You're like, no, it's negative 17 and 15. I was like, oh.
But they wanted two numbers. So if we know that x is negative 17, Claire, now do you see why the other number is negative 15?
Yes.
Okay. Is that okay? All right. Let's go to. Thank you for asking, but that's okay. But do you understand now? That's important. Okay. All right, here we go. Claire, why don't you read the example 2 for us?
The length of a rectangle is 6 centimeters more than 3 times its width. The area of the rectangle is 124 centimeters squared. Find the dimensions of the rectangle.
Okay. So if you want to find the dimension of this rectangle, what are the unknowns, by the way?
Oh, the width.
Carolyn?
The width?
Okay. And there are 2 of them, aren't there?
Length.
Yeah, length. But they tell us what the length is in terms of width. So I'm going to let W be the width. Okay, let W be the width. What's the length then? Who could tell me? How about... Oh, it's way down here. How about Eric?
3W plus 6.
You're exactly right. It's 3W plus 6. I even drew the picture. How did you get 3W plus 6? Some of you thought it was W plus 6, right? Don't forget it's 3W plus 6. Why, Eric?
Because it says in the problem.
Yeah, can you read the sentence that tells you?
The length of a rectangle is 6 centimeters more than 3 times.
Yeah, it says 6 centimeters more than 3 times the width. Not just the width. 3 times the width, right? 3 times the width is 3W. How come we didn't put down 6 plus 3W? Why did we write down 3W plus 6?
This is more than.
It says more than. You guys remember more than? You gotta switch to. So, it's easy again. What kind of formula are you going to use for this? Aaron? Yeah, formula to find the area of a rectangle. Do we all know how to find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. So somebody give me the equation now. We're going to use that formula. Length times width equals the area. How about Eunice? What do you think? Plus W times W equals to 144. They told us the area. Is this easy, guys? Length times width, which is W times 3W plus 6, right? When you multiply those together, it's going to equal to 144. Do you see how it's very similar problem as before? Now all you have to do is solve. Is this a linear equation? No. It's not W to the first power, is it? Because you can see. So what do we have to do first? If you want to solve the equation that is not linear, yes. One person knows? What do you have to use to solve? Patty?
Subtract the 124 and then distribute the W to the 3W plus 6, and then you get a trinomial, and then you factor.
Exactly. And so you have to make sure it equals to 0, right? And then you factor, right? What's that called? What property is that? Zero product property. Okay. So do you guys get this? What do we get when we multiply this now? I subtracted both sides by 144. Kevin, what do I get now?
W times 3W plus 6 minus 144.
Exactly. And what do we get when you distribute that W?
3W squared plus 6W minus 144 equals 0.
You got it. Right, guys? Do we know how to solve? Do we know how to factor this left side? Okay, go ahead, everybody try. I'll wait. By the way, guys, when you factor this, you should always look for.
GCF.
Is there a GCF on this?
Yes.
Yes, there is. If you didn't see it, it's going to be really hard. Okay, make sure you factor out your GCF first. Okay. Eugene, what's the GCF for this one here? 3, right, guys? 3 goes into, of course, 6. Does 3 go into 144?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's 1 plus 4 plus 4? 9. So does 3 go into 9? Remember, you could add up the digits, right? And if
You can do that?
yeah, that's the rule for 3. You add 1 plus 4 plus 4, which is 9. And if 3 goes into 9, it goes into that 144, the whole number.
I didn't know that until this year.
Really?
I didn't know
Okay.
that until like a minute ago.
So that
He
really?
said that earlier this year.
Interesting.
That was actually
Okay, so we get this 3 times W squared plus 2W minus 48 equals to 0. Okay, guys, what do we do with this 3? Yes, one person knows? How about Dakota? What do we do with this 3? Since the whole thing equals to 0, what can we do with this 3? Yeah, divide both sides by 3. Right? Right? Because it's just a number. The whole equation equals to 0. Right? Didn't we do this? We did this last time. Yeah, you could do that at the end, but why not just make it as simple as possible, right? The whole equation equals to 0, and 3 is just a number, constant number, right? You could divide both sides by. By the way, what if there was a variable out here? Can you divide both sides by that variable? No, you can't do that. You can't divide by. But if it's a number, you could divide both sides by it, if it equals 0. Be careful. Yes.
At the end, when you factor W to the second plus 2W minus 48 and you factor 3 there,
Mhm.
you should distribute 3 with like the first part of the factor.
Yeah, it doesn't change the answer at all. Yeah. So even if you kept that 3, that's a good question. Guys, what if you didn't divide both sides by 3 but left 3 there? It doesn't really change the answer at all. Because 3 is a constant number that's just factored out. Right? It doesn't change anything. So, go ahead, factor this trinomial. Okay, I'll wait. So, for 48, how many ways are there to multiply two numbers? We know it's going to be W and W, right? For the first two terms of the binomials. Because that's the only way to get W squared. 1n, 48, what else? 2n, 24, 3n, 4n. Does 5 go in? No. 6 and 8. Now, which one should we try first? Yeah, remember, try the one that's closest to 1. Okay. Does it work? One of them has to be negative, doesn't it? Which one works then? Who has this? Who haven't I called today? I haven't called.
You haven't called me.
No, Bella, what do you think?
Wait, where are we?
So we're trying to factor that trinomial, right?
I got 8 and
8 and negative 6. How many people got that?
I did.
Okay, that is correct. So you get W minus 6 times W plus 8, right? The whole thing equals 0. This is, okay, let me write it this way, right? Normally here, okay, horizontally. So then this is only true if what? Lindsay, this is only true if?
If W minus 6 equals 6, or 8 plus, W plus 8.
You got it, right? Isn't that true? Okay, so then what do we do next here? Samira? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we get answer equals to 6, W equals 6, or W equals 2? Negative 8. Okay, guess what? Negative 8, I'm going to cross it out. Why?
Because you can't have a negative.
Yeah, you cannot have width to be negative number, right? So since we have two choices and one of them cannot possibly be the answer, but it's got to be 6, correct? Does that make sense? You can't have W be to be negative 8. Right? So if width is 6, how do I find the length? Let's go back up. What did we say the length was? It was 3W plus 6, wasn't it? So what's the answer? How about Brandon? What'd you get?
I got the width is 6
Uh-huh.
and the length is 24.
Correct. So the dimension, right? We said the length was 3x plus 6, right? And is there a way to check? Yeah, multiply it out and it should equal to 144. Okay, so that's a quick way to check. Yeah, 24 centimeters by 6 centimeters. So you need to say both of these, right? You need to write down both of these because they wanted the dimension, right? Dimension means length and the width. Don't just give me one of them. Okay, we want both. No, the order doesn't matter. Any question? Hey guys, does this make sense?
Yes.
Alright, may I move on to the next question? We're gonna go to example 4, okay? Let's go to example 4. We'll do example 3 tomorrow. Let's look at example 4 now. Look at example 4. Before we do example 4, they told us this. You can use a formula to obtain a good approximation of height h in meters of an object t seconds after it is projected upward with an initial speed of r meters per second. Now, what does this mean? Because these type of questions are on your final, are on your test, are on your state test. They like to give you these a lot. You see why in a minute, because it looks really hard, but it turns out it's not really. So yeah, so we explain to you why it's not. What do you think this formula is telling you? By the way, the formula that they gave us was this, isn't it? Here, they gave us this formula right here. H equals to RT minus 4.9 T squared. What do you think? What do you think this is describing? Let me give you a hint.
Formula to get the height.
Yes, Michael.
Height equals rate times time.
It's kind of like that, but like I said, let me give you a hint. Look.
Things gravity makes things.
Yes, Dana.
How fast will it fall down?
Kind of. Yes. Kind of. Yeah.
How high an object will reach after a certain amount of time?
Exactly. When you throw something up in the air, right? Guys, when you throw something up in the air, how do you make something go up in the air longer? Yeah, look, that's what that initial speed is. If your initial speed is faster, guess what? It's going to go up in the air faster. It's going to go up there for longer, right? And it's going to go higher. That's what this formula is describing. So it's nothing more than an object thrown up in the air. That's it. Of course, what goes up must come down. So, for example, guess what this H stands for? Height. H for height. Guess what that R stands for?
Rate.
What kind of rate? The rate, the very first rate that you throw the object in, right? How fast you, right? Initial rate. That's what initial means, right? The very first rate that they're throwing this object into. What does T mean? Do you think? That's time. That number 4.9. That is just a number they tested this many times and they came up with that number. So don't worry about that number too much. Okay, it has to do with gravity. Okay, so let me write this for you. H stands for the height in meters. Okay, is it always 4.9? Let me explain that in a minute. Okay, so write this down. So and then guess what the R stands for? That's the rate in meters per second. And of course, guess what T stands for? Time in.
In the air.
Yeah, but what unit would that be in? in no, time is in meters.
Second.
Seconds. In second. That's why the rate is in meters per second. Does that make sense? Okay. So, if the units that you're using are meters and seconds, this is the formula that you use. Do you always have to measure something in meters? No. If you measure something in feet, that number 4.9 changes to something else, whereas everything stays the same. But they give you these formula. So, but you just have to recognize which one to use. So if they give you things in feet, it becomes 16. Is that okay? So they're gonna give you the formula. You don't have to memorize the formula. So here, everything else stays the same, but right. Of course, if they give it to you in different sort of unit, the formula will change. But they will give it to you. Okay, so don't worry about it. So on your homework tonight, you're gonna have to choose whether to use the first one or the second one. Okay, so you use the first one when things are in meters, right? You use the second one when things are in feet. That's all. Okay, but like I said, the formula will be given to you. They will give you both of these, right? And you just have to choose the right one. That's all. So it's a very simple formula. It tells you if you throw some object into the air with some speed, it tells you the height of this object, and it tells you how long it's going to go up in the air, and so forth. So if you know, how many unknowns do we have in this formula? H, R, and T. There are 3 of them. So yeah, right. There are 3 of them. The height, rate, initial rate, and the time, right? So they're gonna give you 2 of these, and you could guess what? If you give you 2 of these, you could find the third one. That's the idea. So they could either give you the height and the rate, rate and the time, or height and the time. You just have to find the third unknown. So we'll do an example like that in a minute. Any question about the formula? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so all you have to do is just use this formula, okay? So let's look at example 4 now. Here we go. It says an arrow is shot upward with an initial speed of 34.3 meters per second. When will it be at a height of 49 meters? So it's in meters, so are we going to use the first formula or the second one? First. Would you not agree? Right. And what's given to you? What's the unknown? What's one thing that we don't know? The time. It's sort of obvious. It says when will it be at the height of 49? We know the height. What's the height, guys?
49.
What's the rate? 34.3. Now, how do we know that that's the rate? 34.3 meters per second. It says initial speed. Not only that, look at the unit. It's meter per second. So when you have rate, it's going to be some distance over time, right? So that kind of gives it away. Of course, we know that 49 is the height because it says meters, right? That's the distance. So we're going to use that formula we just talked about. Go ahead and plug it in. That's all you have to do. You just have to plug it in. But what is our unknown, by the way? The time. So let T be the time it takes what? Not any time, but time it takes for the arrows to reach 49 meters. Isn't that right? Isn't that the time that we're interested in? Right? We're interested in, that's what we're looking for. The time, how long will it take to reach 49 meters? Correct? Okay, so what do we do next?
You're at the
Well,
equation.
you just plug it in. What's H?
49.
What's R?
34.3.
What's T?
T.
T is T. Do you know how to plug it in? How do I? So tell me what to write. How about just one person? Okay. Yes. How about Brandon?
49 equals 34.3 t minus 49 or 4.9 t squared.
You got it. Do you see how Brandon got this? All you have to do is plug it in. Right? Like I said, whenever they give you these questions, there will be one thing you don't know, all the rest you have to know. Okay? They give it to you. And you just have to solve this. Right? And let me show you a trick. Yeah, let me show you how to do it. The same way before. Is this a linear equation? No, it's not. It's t to the second power, right? So it's not linear.
49.
So yeah, you have to make it equal to 0 by subtracting 49 from both sides. Same way that we've been doing. Go ahead, everybody try. So did you all get this? 0 equals to negative 4.9 t squared. I wrote this in standard form after I subtracted 49. Is that okay? Isn't that better? So 0 equals to negative 4.9 t squared plus 34.3 t minus 49. By the way, do we like decimals? Whenever you have an equations like this, you could always get rid of all the decimals. Anybody know a nice trick? Multiply both sides by what? Good. Because it goes up to 10th digit place. Why not multiply both sides by 10 and get rid of all the decimals, right? But not only that, look. Do I want my first term to be negative? So instead of multiplying 10, guess what? I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 10. Go ahead, everybody multiply both sides by negative 10. Look how nice this becomes, okay? So did you all get this? You get 0 equals 2, right? 49t squared minus 343t plus 490. Wait, is it plus? Oh yeah, plus. Why is this plus now? Yeah, we're multiplying both sides by negative 10. So whatever that was positive becomes negative. See, the middle term became negative. First term became positive. All right. So let me give you a hint in terms of whenever you do this kind of problem, right? There's going to be GCF. Guess what the GCF is going to be? No, it's going to be 90% of the time. It's going to be the coefficient of that first term. Yeah, that's why it makes it nice. So it turns out 49 goes into, of course, you could see easily that 49 goes into 490, right?
Yes.
Guess what? 49 goes into 343 also. So 90% of the time, that coefficient will go into all the term. Okay? So how many times does it go in? It turns out, Carly? How many times does 49 go into 343?
Negative 7 times.
That's right. So it just becomes this. So 49 times negative 7 gives you 343.
That was easy.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is
now,
easy.
why is this easy? Because look at the trinomial. Look at the coefficient of the first term. It is? What's the coefficient of the first term? 1. When it's 1, it's easy to factor. You guys remember? By the way, I'm going to get rid of that 49. It's a number. Yeah, because on the left side it equals 0. Why not divide both sides by 49? Okay, so make it easy for ourselves. So now it just simply becomes, we're just solving this trinomial. T squared minus 7t plus 10. Okay, everybody go ahead and factor this now. So that's a big hint, okay? Whenever you have something like this, 90% of the time the GCF will be that first number. Okay? Anyway, go ahead, everybody try this. Did you all get t minus 5 and t? Right, what are the two answers?
2 out of 5.
But isn't it weird? Listen, why do we get two solutions?
Because there's 2.
Whatever goes up must. Here's a picture. Watch this,
Whatever.
guys. When as it goes up, the arrow it hits 49 meters, and then it goes up, and then guess what? It has to come down and hit 49 meters. That's why there are two solutions for this. Do you guys get that? Do you understand? The arrow must reach 49 meters as it goes up, and as it comes down, it has to reach 49 meters. Right? That's why we get two solutions. Do you understand? We're going to talk about this more tomorrow, okay? Have a great day, guys.